Hello everyone, my name is David Allen Gay and you're watching the 21st episode of David Needs a Job. Now, it really stinks being unemployed, that's pretty much a given. The lack of money, having no job to go to, wondering what your purpose is in life. But looking for work can just be as much a downer as not having a job, particularly where it comes to the part of trying to get a job through selling yourself. This is a catchphrase that I hear often from career coaches and employment assistance centers. You got to sell yourself. You got to sell yourself because there's a lot of competition for very few jobs out there. Now, naturally, the common sense solution would be is to figure out why we have so few jobs out there and so much competition for them. No one's ever actually sat down with the captains of industry and those people who we elect to government to figure out why we have so few jobs, find a way so that we can create more jobs in our economy. So that means there will be no need for this competition for so few jobs. But naturally, we've gotten to the point in our society where government simply raises its hand and saying, it's not our problem, we made our promises, we're now in power, we're just going to pass it on to some other people, and those other people happen to be the employment assistance centers and the career coaches, who would then turn around and say to people looking for work, such as myself, it's your responsibility, your fault, you're in the situation you're in now, you have to find a job, so you got to sell yourself. Asking people to market themselves and sell themselves is a term I really hate. I hate it almost as much as the term networking. Networking is not what people do. Computers network, printers network, servers network, anything that's supposed to connect to a local area network networks. People do not network. We socialize, we talk, we communicate, we collaborate, but we do not network. It absolutely drives me batty when I hear the term, oh, you got to network. No, people do not network. And no, people certainly do not have to market themselves or sell themselves. You do that with a product. You do that with a service. Being told that I have to market myself and sell myself during an interview in order to get a job, it disturbs me a little bit because it reminds me back in the days when certain groups of people under government law were considered non-people. They were things, they were commodities, they were products. Blacks, for example, when they were slaves, they worked in the cotton fields and in the farms and in the houses of the rich. They had no rights. They were a consumable that was to be used up and replaced just as easy as a car would be or a pair of pants would be. I would hate to think that we would be going back to those days where we were nothing more than an asset on a trial balance in a company. But from what I've been hearing and from what I've been seeing in my job search, it certainly looks like treating people like people when it comes to finding employment is becoming something of the past. Now, don't get me wrong, but I did try that way of marketing and selling myself in order to get a job during the interview process. I even created a 30-second elevator speech that I would say to people whenever I meet them for the first time. For example, my name is David Gay. I'm an information technology specialist, and my 20 years of experience is what your company needs to empower your users to meet the challenges of the 21st century. See, that's not even 30 seconds. That's more like 15 or 10 seconds, and it's accurate, it's concise, and to the point, and it describes as best I can what my IT career was all about when I did, in fact, work in the field for 20 years. The toughest part for me about selling myself and marketing myself like some sort of service or product is that it runs very contrary to who I am as a person, right down to the core. And you know, we're all different. We all have different tacts and different ways of approaching people and socializing. And yeah, there are some people out there that love standing in front of a camera and yapping their face off and pointing attention to themselves. They're real extroverts. They're showy. They have a larger-than-life personality. They say, oh, look at me. Look at all the wonderful things that I've done. And, you know, see this and see that and see that over there. I did all that. And I'm really proud of myself. And I'm a real go-getter, blah, blah, blah. You know, I mean, good show for them, more power to them, but not everybody's like that, and I am sure as fun not like that. I've said this many times in my videos and also on my blog at davidallengay.wordpress.com that I'm a deed speak kind of guy. Now, what's a deed speak kind of guy mean? It means very simply that someone tells me to do something, I get it done. It's usually done right, 99.999 out of 100 times, and people are happy with it, and my actions speak for themselves, and people point in my directions and say, you know what, see that guy over there sitting at his computer? That's David. He fixed my problem for me. Or you see that guy sitting over there? He configured our SAP system so that instead of having to print off invoices in the morning and putting them through the mailing machine, I can now just simply do it online or let the overnight job do it for me so that I don't even have to touch the invoices and they always go to the right customers. That's the type of person that I am. I don't really say a lot, but I speak a lot in the things that I do. So it's really difficult for me to, look, it's even very difficult for me to sit in front of this flipping camera that has become my constant companion during this series and look into it and talk to you like I'm talking to a person through this camera, and it's really difficult. But I do it. I have to do this because this is how the job search is. You got to market yourself, you got to promote yourself, you got to sell yourself. But you know what? Despite what all said and done by the employment specialists and the career coaches, this is just plain flippin' foolish wrong. Now, I know I'm going to come across some comments from career coaches or employment assistance specialists, or even those people who have no trouble selling themselves or marketing themselves during an interview like they're some slab of meat or a newspaper subscription. And they're going to say to me, David, you're completely wrong. You got to sell yourself. You got to market yourself. It's the only way to go. It's the right way to go. No, it's not the right way to go at all. I will tell you something right now. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to working with people. And there's only two ways you can find out just how well a person does in the job. Look at the person's qualifications on the resume and talk to the references like their boss or their coworkers, most importantly. That alone is all you need to find out just how well a person performs on the job, including his soft skills such as language, teamwork, ability to follow direction. Relying solely on an elevator speech or using action words on a resume to get yourself standing out amongst the rest of the crowd is not the best way to go. And I can certainly tell you some real life experiences in my 20-year career where we went on the assumption that the person's ability to perform on the job through the interview process using action words and stump speeches did not work very well for us at all. We hired a basis administrator, for example, for a project. A basis administrator, by the way, is simply a system administrator for an SAP system, in case you didn't know. He was hired after strong recommendations from head office and an interview with my boss because he performed extremely well through the interview. Yes, he had the qualifications, but what really sold him was his ability to work well with people and the good feelings that they got during the interview process. Well, as we found out, the stump speeches and the marketing and selling that this gentleman did during the interview did not really hold true his actual ability to do the job. Our installation was an OS400 environment, and he came from a Windows environment. Those two are worlds apart. And to our horror, we found out just how badly he was unqualified for this position. And within 2 to 3 months, he was gone. I was asked to take over his position in the project and continue on in his behalf. And, you know, with the help of the team, I did my part in getting the project back on track and everything back on schedule. And only because I had the OS400 qualifications and I was already familiar with the installation. I never was a people person to begin with, though I'm extremely polite, respectful to my boss and my coworkers. I'm not an extrovert. I do my job, I go home, I delineate my work from my personal life as two separate compartments. That might make me appear somewhat introverted to my coworkers, but there was no doubt in anyone's mind when I worked for that company during the project and in the 17 years that I worked there that I had the qualifications to do the job. I delivered the goods. And the reason why I share this experience with you is because when you are hiring somebody, and I'm speaking to the interviewers right now who have this mindset of being more attuned to the action words and the flashy sales pitch rather than focusing on the qualifications and the references, it's quite literally caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware. It's like going into a store to buy a pair of jeans or to buy a computer or anything that takes a good chunk of your hard-earned money. You really have to slow down and make sure that the product you're getting is right for you. And that includes a person. Like I said, I hate comparing people to a product being sold, as I said before, but there is one lesson that comes out of this that I do agree with. You do have to listen very carefully to the sales pitch that the people are doing. Is he or she really that good? Are you just going to gloss over the qualifications and the references given in favor of what your ear and what your heart is saying to you as you listen to this person during the interview? So, I'm scratching my head and I'm thinking, why are we now at this point? I mean, never mind the fact that we have not figured out or understood why we are in a point in our human history, at least in the capitalistic part of the world, North America, for example, where we have so few jobs and so many people looking for work. The economy is doing well, so we hear, and yet we are being asked to do more with less, to right size, downsize, whatever the wonderful word is. Why are we at this point? I'm going to leave this to historians to answer better than I. But a long time ago, before we had all of these wonderful, lovely shinies like the internet and TVs and fast food, humanity always solved a problem fully knowing that if they did not solve it right the first time, there would be dire consequences. Many people would get sick, many people would die, many people would be eaten alive by hungry animals or invaded by a rival power. Stakes were much higher back in those days. And it was absolutely important when a problem was faced and needed to be solved. Man had to get it right the first time by spending a great deal of time, sometimes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to do it, but the reward certainly outweighed the effort, and humanity and society progressed. But something happened along the way. I think what happened was we got lazy. We let convenience get to us. We wanted things like yesterday, if not now. It used to be the me generation. It's now the gimme generation. We want stuff, boom, 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 boom. But now we just want to kludge. We want to fix. We want to work around. We want to compromise. Or we just simply accept it because we've conned ourselves to believing that this is the way things will always be. That's got to stop, especially with the unemployment situation. We cannot accept the situation we are in right now where we simply do not do anything about why we have so few jobs. We have got to have the courage to say to these career coaches and employment assistance centers, no, that's simply not the answer. We have to do better than this. We've got to sit down and really figure it out. Will this ever happen? I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not in a position to make the changes. I'm just some humble guy trying to find a job or I lose my home. I am going to leave that to people who come across this video and have the ability to make the necessary changes to say, well, yeah, maybe this gentleman is onto something and maybe we really need to go back to the basics of who we were as people, as a race, as a species, where we were not afraid to roll up our sleeves and sit down and grapple with a problem, grab it by the throat and throttle the heck out of it until we solved it. We have got to stop. We have got to stop being so lulled and lazy because of the convenience that our modern technology has given us. It might have made our lives a lot easier, but it has made us soft up here and has taken away our spine. We don't have the will and the initiative to tackle problems anymore. And if we are going to beat unemployment, one of the things that we got to do is to get that and our spine back. We've got to hunker down, we got to figure things out, and we got to really understand what the problem is. No more sales pitch. Anyways, that's my say for today. Thank you very much for watching this episode, and I wish you a good day. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.